2025 was the year of the Knicks, but what does 2026 have in store? Let's talk some Knicks basketball because these guys have been absolutely on fire with the host, one of the hosts from Knicks Fan TV, Alex Trataros. Alex, man, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, bro. Santa Claus keeps bringing some good gifts for the Knicks fans across the world, man.
Hey Brandon, happy Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you as well. And yeah, man, the Santa's been doing great with these New York Knicks, man. I mean, they've just been rolling right now.
All right, a gift that he's brought that we didn't think that we were going to have this year was, or we hope to have this year was depth on the bench. I know we continue to talk bench, 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 but each guy is having what I like to call their New York moment. Mo
Mm.
Diarra balled out last game, 18 minutes, 18 points. We've talked Tyler Kolek, Kevin McCullough Jr. looks like he might be the next project off of the bench. Has this bench given you, I guess, the confidence in this team that this team is going to be for real and be contenders coming out of the East this year?
Absolutely. I do believe that this team is going to be contenders coming out the East this year. And look, the cool thing with the depth, how it's playing out right now, as you mentioned, Diawara, Kolek, McCullough, like they're all performing at right times. You see that development from the coaching staff, right? Where they're giving these guys second chance opportunities to go out there and prove themselves. Look, Kolek started at the beginning of the season, then was not playing so much whatsoever. Then you have injuries, right? Deuce, Shamit, all these guys go out. Kolek comes back in and starts working through his issues and starts getting better. I mean, look, the kid's driving like he looks like Jalen Brunson. I mean,
Mm.
they weren't lying, man, when they're saying he's gone to the Jalen Brunson school by the way he's finishing those layups. So it's great to see that we have this depth. And yeah, when you have this type of depth, especially from the youth, yeah, you got to believe that you're a championship contender because we already know what the top seven could do. I'm thinking about Deuce McBride and Mitchell Robinson with the original starting five from last year. And then when Shamit gets back, look, man, you got a lot of firepower on this team. So yeah, they are championship contenders this year.
All right, I keep talking. These guys are having their New York moments, but it's all about consistency. Can you do the good for a long period of time? This depth, we're talking about these guys. Shamit coming back, Deuce McBride came back, had 14 points off of the ankle injury. Are they reliable down the stretch? Can they be consistent in clutch moments? Do you have that confidence in this bench, or do you need to see more?
I have that confidence in this bench, and the good thing, Brennan, as we were talking about, is that it's just a different guy on a different night, and so that's why you have the depth because you know that your starting five can give you that production on a night-to-night basis, and when you have guys who have an off night, I mean, look, Christmas Day is a good example. Jalen Brunson didn't shoot the best that day, but who comes through in the later part of the game is Tyler Kolek, right? Knocking down clutch threes. Look at the Pelicans game. Muhammad Diawara gives you some great minutes. And then you have Deuce McBride closing the game with you. You have Tyler Kolek providing some playmaking and some shot making as well. And it's just a multitude of guys, man. So look, with this depth right now, the sky's the limit for this team. And even if one of the starters doesn't have it, you can always rely. And so with that, that's the whole point, man. It's just having a constant flood of talent on this team where you could just go to somebody else if somebody doesn't have it. And this team does have it.
So Tibbs would only go like 6, 7 man,
Oh boy.
rotations and all. Mike Brown, obviously, we got to compare everything from Mike Brown to Tibbs, and Tibbs to Mike Brown. Mike Brown the other day, 11 guys, I believe, had over 10 minutes of playing time in that comeback win against New Orleans. He's been able to get a lot out of guys, and we talk about the funky lineups that he kind of uses at times, where you got a guy like Tyler Kolek in clutch moments with Jalen Brunson. He's on the court at the same time. So you think this more X's and O's or the Jimmys and Joes stepping up when they get their opportunity?
I think it's X's and O's. Look, for this coaching staff, right? They understand and are still learning what all the players' strengths are. And as you mentioned, you talked about Kolek being on the court at the same time with Jalen Brunson, and something that we saw last season and even the year prior when they made the big trade for OG Anunoby is that we lost a lot of ball handlers, guys who can create and initiate the offense. And we didn't really have that last year. I know we had campaign that didn't really pan out too well. But with Kolek, he's providing much more consistency as of right now than any of those guys that we've had in the past were. So with that, like for this type of lineup that you talk about, it's like, hey, let's do the X's and O's. It's going to make life a lot easier for Jalen Brunson to go out there, play off ball, so that way the defense isn't focusing on him 24/7. Because let's look at last season, right? They were able to hone in on Brunson a lot because they knew he was going to bring up the rock, and they knew he was constantly bring up the rock. Just plain simple at that. We knew that every single play, and so with Mike Brown, it is an X's and O's standpoint. I mean, as we watch this entire season, just sticking with who's initiating the offense, you see that it's not only Brunson, it's Bridges. Sometimes it's OG. Josh Hart is doing that as well. Kolek. So this is an X's and O's thing, and I see that the coaching staff is really trying to give these guys their opportunities and the leanway to learn and develop on the court. That way, they know what skill sets they do have. So when you talk about mixing and matching and just throwing out different rotations, different lineups that you've never seen before, it's going to throw off any other defense. So it is an X's and O standpoint.
All right, we talked about the role players. Let's talk about the money guys now. Some people are like, why are you talking about the bench for so long?
This
But
is New York, Brandon. You already know they love to know about the bench.
everybody wants to talk. Oh snap! Talk about the bench. All right, but let's OG and Cat. Both these guys having really good years. I'm looking at the numbers now. Cat's averaging around 22 and around 12 on the regular season. OG around 15 and 5.5 rebounds per game. Any one of those guys making a case to be all stars this year.
I think both of them are making a case to be an all-star
Even
this year.
OG with those numbers.
Yeah, man. I think like if you have to watch what OG is doing on the court to really appreciate it. I know you do, Brandon, but I'm saying for everybody out there, you really got to appreciate it. I know, look, it's not the flashiest when you just see 50 what is it that you said that he was averaging 15 points? Yeah, he's averaging a little over 15 points. Last season was 18. But look, when you watch what he's doing defensively, you got to take in consideration that he has missed some time. And once he got back, he's still knocking down threes at a high rate. He plays at a level where you got to consider him for an all-star status. Now, it'll probably be a little bit more tougher for OG to make all-star. I'm not going to say that he will be outright an all-star, but he is making a case for himself. Karl Anthony Towns, for sure, should be an all-star. Brandon, let me tell you something right now about Karl Anthony Towns. When you look at all the centers throughout the NBA, all right, here are the top three in points per game. It is Nikola Jokic, Alperen Sengun, and Karl Anthony Towns. So, Cat representing the East by himself right now in the top three. That's 22 points. And then when you get to rebounding, you talk about him being number two, right behind Nikola Jokic. And so when I look at those numbers, Karl Anthony Towns should be a lock to be an all-star. He's the best center in the Eastern Conference, no questions asked. And when it comes to OG Anunoby, he's making a case for himself. It will be tough. It will be a climb. But between him, Bridges, who's also having a good season for the Knicks, it's going to be tough, man. To get three Knicks in the All-Star, because you know it's going to be Brunson and Cat, it's got OG and Bridges going to be duking it out on the team themselves. But OG's making a good case for himself.
Cat's having himself a year both on the court and off the court. My man just got engaged. Congratulations to Karl Anthony Towns and Jordan Woods. All right, let's talk about this now because it's 23-9 right now, 1.5 games back from Detroit. Is it too early to be talking one seed?
No, it's not too early to be talking one seed. You know what happens on January 5th?
What's that?
We play Detroit. So they're right around the corner, and that's going to be a big test. And you know, both teams are looking forward to that matchup. And look, Detroit, number one right now. We knocked them out last year. You know that they're coming back with vengeance in that matchup. And then for the Knicks, you know, they gotta protect their identity and protect what they did last season, man, showing that they are a legitimate title contender. So it should be a good matchup, but it's not too early right now. I think this is the appropriate time to see because things are starting to really shake out in the East. I mean, look, for example, Celtics were, you know, playing category. Now they're in the top four. So I think this is the time where teams are starting to separate themselves and show who are contenders and who are pretenders. But yeah, man, they should be worried, especially with the Detroit game right around the corner.
My man said it with his chest too. Talk that talk, Alex. All right, we got the Spurs tonight. They're down in San Antonio. It's a rematch of the NBA Cup Finals. Got an all-star like Wemby. Who knows if he's coming on or off the bench? The Knicks can make this 4 in a row, Alex. How do they keep this thing rolling?
It's going to be a tough one tonight, Brandon. Let me tell you. I just did a game of the week preview for Knicks Fan TV. Shout out to my guy Jeff, who covers the San Antonio Spurs for Ken's Five out in Texas, as well. He does covers them for Walked On Spurs. He brought up the notion that first and foremost, this is going to be a good spot. So I'm going to start up there before I get to the bad. Wemby in the starting lineup, 0-4. So if he's starting tonight, it's not a good omen for Wemby right now, where as a starter, the Spurs continue to lose. Now, the bad thing is that it's going to be difficult because we don't have Mitchell Robinson tonight. He is designated as out. He is a guy that does a very good job battling against Wemby. As we know, Mitch can guard not only the paint, but he's also good at guarding the perimeter. In the last matchup against the Spurs, being the NBA Cup Finals, he got 15 rebounds, 10 of them being offensive, 5 being defensive. And so not having Mitchell Robinson tonight, on top of not having Josh Hart, so you don't have two of your best 3 rebounders on this team. We only got Karl Anthony Towns tonight. So it's going to be a challenge for this team, considering that was a battleground category where they dominated against the San Antonio Spurs. So they out rebounded them, I think, over by 10 in that matchup. So look, without Mitch, it's going to be an uphill battle because it's about getting second chance opportunities and controlling possessions, and that all starts with working the glass. So without Mitchell Robinson, it will be a tall hill to climb against a nicely stacked San Antonio Spurs team that likes to play fast. But the thing is, Brandon, I got to stay confident because we got our guy Captain Clutch, Jalen Brunson. He's always going to come through. So I expect him to do what we always expect him to do, and it's going to be a good matchup because the Spurs also got the other clutch player of the year right before Jalen Brunson, De'Aaron Fox. So should be fireworks. Should be interesting with the last 5 minutes in the fourth quarter to see which clutch player is going to do it. But I got a lot of faith that Jalen Brunson and company are going to come through with the victory.
Last but not least, Alex, the title of our back page is New Year's Believe. What makes you believe in the Knicks going into the new year?
Brandon, it's what we talked about earlier. It's the depth. It's the depth. It's the creativity of the head coach. It's how all these guys are being deployed. I mean, if you told me at the beginning of this season that after watching Tyler Kolek, Mohamed Diawara, and McCullough, that they're going to get good minutes and that we'll be getting wins from these guys being on the court, I would have said, "Hey, you're pretty crazy for talking about that," because they didn't all look like that great in summer league. I mean, they showed potential, not to like downplay it, but it didn't say like, "Hey, these guys are going to be so impactful this year." And then look, they're being impactful right now. And so with the depth, with the creativity of Mike Brown and his coaching staff, and a collaborative team effort as well, I got a lot of hope for this team, man. So yeah, man, the Knicks, man, they're on their up. They're on the up, Brandon. They're on the up.
Going to be a good 2026 in New York City this year, especially if the Knicks are continue to ball out. Alex, man, happy New Year. I probably won't make it to 12 a.m. You know, we're dads now. We go to bed about 9:30, but I'll shoot you a text in the morning. Happy New Year's, my guy.
Happy New Year's to you too, Brandon. Appreciate you as always for having me on.